Hi friends, welcome to today's devotional. My name is Jo and it is my great privilege to share with you today some thoughts about today's reading. If you're working through the Bible in a year, great job. I know that it will be doing you good. This weekend, Matt shared at church that we were actually 70% of the way through the year. Not quite sure how I feel about that, but it also means that we're 70% of our way through reading the whole Bible, so that's pretty cool. I'm actually working through a different reading plan that covers the whole Bible in a year, so it was fun to dip into your reading plan this week, and hopefully the thoughts I share will help us to look up, fix our gaze on Jesus and worship him more fully. So we're in Psalm 59 this morning, and I'm just going to start by sharing a couple verses and then hopefully some thoughts that will help us. So it starts with a desperate cry from David. He says, "Deliver me from my enemies, O my God. Protect me from those who rise up against me. Deliver me from those who work evil, and save me from bloodthirsty men. For behold, they lie in wait for my life. Fierce men stir up strife against me." And this was written by David in what is clearly a very dark and desperate time. I think it's taken from the story in 1 Samuel where Saul has sent his men to kill David, and so he genuinely is pleading with God for his life. And I initially read these verses and thought, I cannot relate to this in any way. That I don't think there's ever been a moment where I've pleaded with God because people are surrounding my house to kill me. But I definitely know of moments where I've pleaded with God just out of desperation for a battle that's going on in my mind. And in Ephesians 6, it talks about how our wrestle isn't against flesh and blood, but is against the principalities and powers of this dark world. And actually, we do have an enemy who seeks to rob and destroy and to kill. And so often that battle is done in our heads rather than in the physical. And this psalm actually gives us great instruction of what to do in those moments. I don't know about you, but there has been some dark moments during this season particularly. It's been such a strange one where we can maybe feel trapped or feel alone or feel forgotten. And yet our psalmist directs us to Jesus, and there's two moments where he reminds us where we cry out to. And in verse 9 it says, "Oh, my strength, I watch for you." And then again in verse 17 it says, "Oh, my strength, I sing praises to you." And so I think just in those moments where we're crying out for deliverance, where we're crying out for rescue, that actually we've got two things that we can do. The first is that we watch. We don't watch at what's going on around us, dismayed, thinking, gosh, is the battle actually won? Is the battle actually God's? But actually we watch. We watch for God, who is our strength and our fortress. This psalm is just full of language of kind of battle, of strength, of fight. And we are in a battle, and we sometimes, me definitely, I forget that we're in a battle, but it's actually like we watch for God. We watch and say, God, what are you doing in this moment? What are you doing in us? What are you doing around the world? And that we can trust him, because it goes on to say that he's our fortress. And then also it says that we look to God, our strength, and we sing praises to him. So in the midst of the battle, we can still sing. In the midst of the squeeze points, we can choose to sing truth about who God is. And that's what David chooses to do, although his life is under threat, although sometimes the battle for our minds is under threat. I mean, maybe it is the battle for your life physically. I can't relate to that, but for some people maybe that is the case. But actually we can come and we can sing to God, our strength, because he's our fortress. He hems us in behind and before. He holds us in the palm of his hand. And then my second kind of thought about this, and my first thought is just that in the midst of the battle we come to the one who's our fortress. The second thought is that we come to the one who is just. And these verses go on to say that it's for no transgression of David's that his life is being sought out, and it's no fault of his. And we can look around, particularly at the moment, and see things that are happening across the globe and think, God, this is so unjust, this is not right, this is not okay, and things that are way out of people's control and are not things that they should be paying for. And he's saying, awake, God, awake and see what's going on. And I just love the assurance that God is not sleeping, he's not unaware. And he comes and he cries out to him, and he's like, rouse them, punish all the nations, spare none of those who treacherously plot evil. And it says, goes on to say in verse 8, but you, O Lord, laugh at them. You hold all the nations in derision. And it's like, oh, God knows all things. He sees all things. And he's a just judge. And we can go on to read that we can see that he is going to come one day to judge all things. As we read the Bible, as we go through scripture, that God doesn't leave the unjust things unjust, but he will bring justice. He will bring rightness to all these things. And it's because of his steadfast love that God will look on in triumph. And it says in verse 10, my God in his steadfast love will meet me. God will let me look in triumph on my enemies. And he's the one who's our shield. He's the one who's our fortress. He's the one in whom we put our trust and in our hope, so that when we look at, like, I don't know about you, but watching the news can be so bleak, and yet that's not the place that it's to leave us, but actually it's to cause us to look and see our steadfast one, our strong one, the one who goes before us, the one who's with us, the one who's working in all these injustices, that one day he's going to bring about rightness, that all things will be made right under his feet, and we can trust him and lean wholly and hard into him as we wait for him to bring about ultimate justice. And so friends, be encouraged today in the midst of maybe battling for your mind, or maybe looking on in the world in despair. Know that we have a God who is our fortress. He is our shield. He is our strength, and therefore we can look to him. We can watch and see what he's doing. And in the meantime, we can sing praises to him. We can trust that in the midst of all these things, he's working for our good and for his glory. Much love to you, friends, and speak to you soon. Bye.